Hi, I'm Danielle. Welcome to my perfume journal. This is the September edition of my series called Perfume Collecting for Regular People, which I have been doing now for almost 2 whole years, first on Instagram and now here on YouTube. I wanted to represent other perfume enthusiasts like me who have a long time obsession with wearing, sampling, collecting perfumes, but we have to be a little bit careful about how much we're spending on this hobby. It is an expensive interest to have. So each month I pull back the curtain to show exactly how I perfume. And then I also include my budget and how much money I spend each month down to the penny. Okay, so let's go on to the ins and outs of my collection this month. We'll start with the outs. I did declutter some things, perfume and otherwise. Nothing super duper exciting, but it all adds up to help me keep to my goal of moving things out of my house and not just bringing new things in. And I sent some packages off to friends this month, which is always so much fun to do. So perfume-wise, I sold or gave away 5 full bottles, a shower gel, a lotion, 6 travels, and a huge number of samples. And everything I moved along were things I really did enjoy, but just didn't find myself reaching for. So last month, some people asked what perfume I got rid of. I'm going to try to remember to include the actual perfumes that I decluttered in my video each month. So last month, the perfume that I decluttered was Iris Cartagena from Bon Parfumeur. And this month, I decluttered SJP's NYC, which is a really, really fun fruity floral with strawberry, gardenia, honeysuckle, and a light boozy note of rum. I decluttered Jill Sanders' Softly Eau de Pétale. I really enjoyed that when I bought it, but I just wasn't reaching for it. It's a really pretty powdery floral. I decluttered Benetton's Colors Purple, praline and rose fruit chuli. I decluttered Mix Bar's Vanilla Bourbon, which is a great inexpensive vanilla perfume that I just wasn't reaching for anymore. And then I decluttered the original Paris Hilton perfume, which is a musky fruity floral. And now for the ins. My purchases this month were mostly hits, but I did have one miss. So for the first time in a very, very long time, I added 2 decants to my collection this month. The first is Incarnata from Anatole Lebreton. I am forever on a search for my perfect lipstick scent. Now, I already have Violet Ida, that's in a class of its own, but I am specifically searching for a perfume that smells as close as possible to L'Oreal's Color Riche lipsticks. Something extremely waxy, but also deeply floral. So everything I've tried so far hasn't quite hit the mark of what I'm looking for. Maybe it doesn't even exist. I might have to make this perfume myself. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep looking. So I loved the opening of Incarnata. It smells exactly like a tube of vintage Avon lipstick. It has that very, very waxy, almost plasticky, like tube of red lipstick scent. But as it dries down, it becomes more of like a lipsticky suede than a lipsticky floral. And I think what I'm really looking for is that lipsticky floral kind of scent. But I still think this is a wonderful perfume, and I am going to enjoy every single drop of this decant. I also picked up a decant of Celine's Été Français. I'm a huge fan of the Celine perfumes, but I would never actually be able to use up a whole bottle. So Celine perfumes fall into the category of perfumes I would probably never purchase unless I were to give up collecting and just have like 3 or 4 signature scents in rotation. Then I would definitely spend Celine money on a single bottle. So until then, that day may come, who knows? I will stick to little decants or samples to enjoy until they're gone. So Un Été Français, a French summer, is as lovely as you would expect it to be. Celine perfumes are classic, they're classy, they're elegant, they're refined, but they're not like stuffy or pretentious. This one has broom, bergamot, neroli, petitgrain, and vanilla. The Celine vanilla and the Celine iris are both beautiful. They're super smooth and velvety. And in here, the vanilla shows up really delicately with the brightness of the other notes. It's just another beautiful scent that Celine has added to their line, and I'm happy to have a little bit of it. So moving on to bottles I added to my collection. First, we have this adorable little 30 ml of Noah by Cacharel. How cute is this bottle? So cute. I think Cacharel is one of the best affordable brands out there. I've been wearing their stuff since the 80s, starting with Anais Anais. The quality cannot be beat for the price point. So Noah is kind of like Sarah Jessica Parker's Covet to me, not the way it smells, but the note list of Noah is weird and wonderful, and it does not suggest a scent profile that should work, but it totally does. So this is like the 90s version of what might be called the clean girl vibe today. It's not soapy, it's not creamy, it's really right in the middle of both. It's almost like lotiony. And I think that that's coming from Lily of the Valley, the airy florals, the watery green accords in this perfume. But then because it's a 90s perfume, it also has like just a little bit of an edge to it. So it's not like the clean perfumes we think of today that are loaded with like laundry musks. This has coffee, coriander, woods, tonka, and incense in the base. So all of that good stuff adds a tinge of like powdery bitterness to this scent that I think sets it apart and makes it a really interesting and unique version of a lotiony kind of perfume. I love it. I can see though how this might not be for everyone, but I think this is a classic at this point, and I'm glad to finally have a little cute bottle of this in my collection. So let's go on to the one that I absolutely did not enjoy one single bit. That is Chérie by Mauboussin. So I thought from the note list that this would be like a light, nutty cherry scent. It has almond and cherry, it has jasmine, raspberry, and lilac. The lilac is the note that I thought might lighten this cherry up and give it more of like a cherry lip smacker kind of a vibe, which I would totally enjoy. But this is a really, really heavy, syrupy, sweet, thick cherry perfume. It has a very woody, powdery dry down, but the cherry stays front and center the whole time. I saw on Parfumo that this was compared to Tom Ford's Lost Cherry, and I'm not an expert on that perfume at all. I have sampled it, and from my memory, I would say that they are extremely similar. So if you love Lost Cherry and you're looking for something that is not going to break the bank, Mauboussin's Star Cherie might be one to check out. Okay, this perfume did work for me. This is Felicia Roses from Chopard. This is the second perfume I've added to my collection from the Happy Chopard line, and this is really lovely. The bottle is so much fun. The pink and red together perfectly suit this scent. This is a bubbly, citrusy raspberry rose. The rose is a damask rose, which is my favorite type of rose in perfumery. I tend to like a lighter pinkish smelling rose most of all, though there are times when I do want like a deeper rose, but overall a pink rose is the kind of rose I prefer in a perfume. And when you pair that rose with either raspberry or strawberry, just take my money. So the cedar and the tonka in Felicia Roses are not notes you can like pick out, as this is really purely a bright raspberry rose, but they do give this perfume enough lasting power to be able to smell this for several hours. So I think this is a great find for under $20. So after ages of adding this to my cart and then taking it back out again, I have finally added Joop Bain to my collection. So for maybe 2 years now, I have heard Claire and John talk about this perfume with great fondness. And as I wore the original Joop Femme as a signature scent in the late 80s, I knew that I would love Le Bain, and I do. It is the essence of an affordable gem. So Joop Le Bain smells like you soaked in a bubble bath that had vanilla extract drizzled into the water. It is clean and soapy and vanillic at the same time. It's a very like snuggly kind of perfume. It feels like you've wrapped yourself in a fluffy white robe, hopped into a bed with fresh sheets, pulled a big thick duvet up over you, lit a candle, and sipped on a cup of vanilla rooibos tea. There's something like just slightly tea-like, almost balsamic in the base of this perfume that is so cuddly and wonderful. I think, though, that you do have to enjoy a more vintagey smelling perfume to like this one. This doesn't smell old-fashioned, but it also doesn't smell modern. It really does smell like that turn of the decade between the 80s and the 90s when this perfume was released. I think it is wonderful stuff. So the last two perfumes I purchased this month, I threw in my cart so I could get free shipping. So this is a 30 ml bottle of Elizabeth Arden's White Tea Vanilla Orchid. I generally love the white tea line. I always smell them when I'm like at an airport duty-free shop, and I think to myself, like, why don't I have any of these? They're so affordable, they're so nice, they're so easy to wear on the day-to-day. And now I have White Tea Vanilla Orchid. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's fresh from the white tea. It has a bright lemony top. It's creamy with a little bit of ambrette and gardenia pairing beautifully with the vanilla. And it's just the perfect amount of floral with that fantasy orchid accord and then some jasmine in the heart of it all. Sometimes I want perfumes to be complex and serious, and sometimes I just want to wear something easy and nice. And this is easy and nice. It's an affordable, pleasant, very, very approachable perfume. And then I threw in this little 15 ml of the Apparition Parfum, created by Francois Caron and Francis Kirkjean for Emmanuel Ungaro. Mostly, I blind bought this because of the free shipping, but also because of the notes. They sounded like a really interesting mix, and so I was like, let's see what this is all about. It's cayenne pepper, raspberry liqueur, passion flower, rose, heliotrope, and patchouli. And yep, that's exactly what it smells like. It's spicy, it's very sweet, it's boozy, deeply floral, earthy, and powdery. It smells like the kind of cocktail you would get if you went up to a bartender on a cruise and said, make me your specialty drink. Boozy perfumes are not usually for me. I don't really love boozy notes like rum, cognac, whiskey, bourbon. All of those notes in perfumes are not notes that I generally gravitate towards, but I was wondering if maybe a fruity liqueur note might be for me. Turns out, no, it's not really for me either, but I'm probably going to give this one a wear or two in the deep, deep cold of winter just to see how it fares, because I think this would be much, much better in the freezing cold. But even if this doesn't work out, I'm really glad to have smelled this perfume. And finally, this bottle's so tall I had to readjust my whole camera. I received this incredibly generous gift from Ivette. She sent me this whole entire bottle of Chergui from Serge Lutens. Thank you so, so much, Ivette. That was so kind and generous of you, and I am so very grateful. So this perfume. Leather perfumes are not usually my favorite, but there are a few of them that are exceptions to the rule. And for me, one of them is Chergui. Chergui is classic Serge Lutens, Christopher Sheldrake, early 2000s. This is often referenced as a tobacco perfume, even though this perfume does not actually have a tobacco accord in it. This is hay, immortelle, and leather. And the story behind this perfume is a hot desert wind, a fire that leaves behind a concentrate of like saps and resins and all of the remaining scorched materials that crossed its path. There is a thickness and a slight sweetness to it, very much like you took tobacco leaves, boiled them down with just a touch of sugar, and created like a thick, coppery tobacco simple syrup. But again, no tobacco. This is just pure Lutens alchemy. I love it, and I'm so grateful to have it. Okay, time to get down to brass tacks. What did I spend this month? So if you're new to this series, I always start by sharing that my fun money budget is $100 to $150 a month. I recognize very much what a privilege it is to have any fun money to spend or save at all. It is not the case for many other people. It was not always the case for me, and I will never, ever take that for granted. So this month I spent a total of $201.42 on perfumes that I purchased. So I went about $50 over my budget for the month. And then I spent $15.57 on postage, which brings me to a grand total this month of $216.99. But I brought in $152.32, which means that I spent a total of $64.67 of new money this month. This is perfume math. And so for all of 2025 so far, my balance sheet shows that I have spent a total of $201.14 of new money. So basically, when you subtract what I've brought in from Declutters to what I have spent on perfume. So for 9 months of perfume enjoyment and perfume collecting, I'm very, very happy with that balance. So there we have it. The ins, the outs, and my spending for the month of September. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I really enjoy making this series. I appreciate you for watching, for spending your time here with me, and for chatting perfumes with me in the comments. I hope you have a really great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.